Old English, Steel Reserve, and King Cobra. I'm going to pick a favorite blindly. These are not as bad as I expected. I am the co-founder and head brewer at a brewery in Massachusetts called House Brewing Company. As part of this video, I want to try 3 malt beverages that I've never tried before, give you my impressions, give you my feedback, and pick a favorite. If you're new here to the channel, we've done this before and recently in a video where we pitted Bud Light, Miller Lite, and Coors Light against each other, and we'll link that video down below. Michael, our videographer, has poured these 3 beverages for me to sample. I don't know which one is which, and I'm not going to try to guess which one is which. I'm just going to give you my impressions and then pick a favorite. These particular malt liquors I don't recall ever having. I may have enjoyed them at some point in my life, but I don't recall doing so. So my impressions will be very off the cuff and without any context of what these can and should taste like. So without further ado, I'm going to dive into the one that has the lightest appearance first. Okay, not bad. I mean, it's really mild all around. Little to no hop character, a little bit of that acetaldehyde character, which is kind of like green, fresh cut apples, and a little bit of sweet malt, but otherwise, not bad. It's interesting. Kind of mild all around, a little bit sweet, a little bit of alcohol character on the back, but all things considered, that's not half bad. It's interesting. Moving on to the second sample, which I believe appears to be the darkest of the 3. Ooh, this guy has something a little bit weird going on. Can't quite put my finger on what, it's like a little bit leathery, I think, in the background, a little like fruit leather almost. But again, not a lot of hop character, if any. I'm not sure if these are hopped at all, and if they are, it's probably very, very small amount. This one's a little bit, it has like a smokiness to it, like a phenol character that's probably a byproduct potentially of fermentation or aging. But it has a little bit of a struck match character going on that I'm not a huge fan of. But otherwise, there's a lot of similarity with that apple character and that sweet malt character in the background that is contiguous between these 2 samples. Ooh, that's sweet. Really, really sweet on the finish, but to me, it tastes like a higher gravity, sweeter macro lager. There's a decent amount of malt character going on here. There's absolutely no hop to speak of. There's not a lot of dryness, so it doesn't really lend itself to me wanting to drink too much more of it. But all things considered, I think this one has a lot more going on from a malt perspective than that first sample, and I would consider it to be slightly more interesting. And the third sample, which I think color-wise falls between the first 2. Man, these are all really similar on the nose. Fascinating. This one, too, has a little bit of that minor sulfury struck match character going on. Very little hop, good amount of sweet malt character. Trying to pull something else out for you guys, but I'm not really getting all that much other than those few descriptors. It's just so plain. You get kind of sweet malt up front, very little hop character, a little bit of sweetness on the tongue at the end, and then it just falls off. It's going to be hard to pick a favorite out of these 3 because honestly they share a lot of similarities between each other. But all things considered, there's not a substantial amount of off flavor in either one of these 3. I'm just going to go back through the 3. If you guys have been watching the channel for a while, you know that I typically gravitate toward the least sweet and the driest examples of the styles that I enjoy the most. This guy, probably to me, tastes the best. If I had to drink the most of it, I would probably pick this one. This guy here in the middle definitely has the most complexity going on. There's a little bit of caramel sweetness going on. There's a little bit more malt character going on. But on the balance, this guy would be my number 2. And then this guy is somewhat of a blend between the 2, where it's a bit middling and muddling, and I don't particularly find anything redeeming about it. So if I had to pick, I would actually go in order of the way that they're up here. This guy would be my number 1, this guy would be my number 2, and this guy would be my number 3. What's
So
why?
Your favorite is King Cobra.
Okay, okay,
Steel Reserve, number 2.
okay.
And number 3, Old English.
Interesting. Okay. That's fascinating. I think Old English probably has one of the more decent reputations. Aromatically, these numbers 2 and number 3 both had a struck match kind of sulfury character going on, whereas this guy to me was maybe the cleanest. I'm not sure. I believe King Cobra comes in an amber bottle. Is that right? Whereas the other 2 come in clear bottles, which could have impacted it. Could be some light struck action going on. I'm not entirely sure, but all things considered, I call it like I see it, and in spite of any preconceived notions, that's the malt liquor that I found to be the best out of these 3. But all things considered, if this is something that you enjoy, you probably can't go wrong with any of these 3. All right, guys, so longtime fans of Treehouse and viewers of the channel who have found us through our Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Lite tastings and tastings like this may be unfamiliar with Treehouse Brewing Company and our motivations behind videos such as this one. We are known for making what we call Treehouse style IPA, which is kind of a hazy, fruity style of IPA that became popular, really popular in the early 2010s and has really exploded in the last several years. And we are trying to broaden our horizons and expose our products to more people. So if you enjoy malt liquor, for example, or if you enjoy American light lager, we would encourage you to take a leap of faith and check out the things that we are doing. We are in our 12th year. We have 5 brewery locations, 4 in Massachusetts and 1 in Connecticut, and 1 soon to be in Saratoga Springs, New York. And what we're hoping for is to open your eyes and your palates to new and interesting styles of beer and beverages that perhaps you haven't tried before, either because you haven't been exposed to it, maybe you're intimidated by the idea of changing your go-to beverages, but we would encourage you to try our stuff. The thing that I like to explain to everyone that's never had Treehouse before is that trying this type of beverage, trying this type of IPA is always a leap of faith. You can't find something new and that you love if you're not willing to take a leap sometimes. And what I ask people to do with a beer like Haze is try it. And your first impression may not be the best one. You might say, oh, that's not for me. That's too juicy. That's too fruity. Maybe it has a little bit too much bitterness. But what I ask you to do is give this guy a try and drink it all the way through the glass. And if you don't love it by the end of the glass, perhaps you'll never love it. But give yourself a chance at taking that leap of faith and trying something like this all the way through the glass. Jesus, that smells so good. Like the contrast between the malt liquor and then smelling haze is unbelievable. It's like, I feel like this is an exercise that everyone should do to reset their palate. Even longtime fans of Treehouse, try something that's a little bit more modest, then haze, and then go back to it. And distance makes the palate more explosive. It's just so wonderful. Fruitiness, hoppiness, definitely a small amount of bitterness, but it washes over the palate, and then you're just excited for the next sip. So if you guys are new to Treehouse, I really want to thank you guys for watching. Subscribing to the channel is a huge help to us, as is commenting, giving us your feedback, and liking the videos. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. I'm a King Cobra guy.